In the gleaming towers of San Francisco's financial district, Marcus Thompson had built an empire on silence. At 35, his fintech company dominated mobile payment platforms across the West Coast, but success had come with a price. He lived alone in a Pacific Heights mansion worth millions, surrounded by smart glass windows that could turn opaque at the touch of a button. The irony wasn't lost on him that he'd created technology to connect people while remaining utterly disconnected himself. That Tuesday morning started like any other brutal day in Silicon Valley warfare. Marcus sat in the chrome and glass boardroom on the 40th floor, watching his company's stock price fluctuate in real time on wall-mounted displays. The hostile takeover attempt by Pinnacle Capital had been circling for months like vultures. His CFO's voice droned through quarterly projections, while Marcus's mind wandered to threatening emails piling up in his inbox. The betrayal had started small. A former lover named David Chen, someone Marcus had trusted with both his heart and business plans, had systematically stolen proprietary algorithms and sold them to competitors. The tech blogs had feasted on the scandal for weeks. Gay tech billionaires' love triangle costs millions. They'd written, trust had become a luxury Marcus could no longer afford. By 3 p.m, the board meeting had devolved into chaos. Investors questioned every decision. Lawyers argued over acquisition defenses. And Marcus felt the familiar tightness in his chest that had been growing stronger each day. He hadn't slept more than 4 hours in weeks. Energy drinks and prescription stimulants kept him functional, but his body was keeping score. The attack came without warning. One moment he was explaining blockchain security protocols. The next his vision blurred and the room started spinning. Marcus gripped the mahogany table edge, feeling his heartbeat thundering in his ears. The last thing he remembered was his assistant's voice calling his name as the polished floor rushed toward his face. Dr. Sarah Martinez from UCSF Medical arrived within 20 minutes. She lay in Marcus's unconscious form on the leather couch in his office, checking vitals and reviewing his medical history. Severe exhaustion and stress-induced collapse, she announced to the gathered staff. His body had simply shut down, demanding rest his conscious mind refused to grant. Nothing life-threatening, but complete bed rest was non-negotiable. They moved Marcus to his master bedroom suite, a minimalist space dominated by a king-size bed and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the bay. As they positioned him carefully on Egyptian cotton sheets, Marcus stirred slightly but remained unconscious. Or so it appeared. In reality, something had shifted in that moment between collapse and awakening. Perhaps it was the medication's effects, or maybe pure exhaustion had broken down his psychological barriers. Marcus made a decision that even he couldn't fully explain. He would remain unconscious, just for a while, long enough to hear what people really thought when they believed he couldn't listen. Years of therapy had taught him that his need for control stemmed from deep wounds, but he'd never been able to let go enough to discover what lay beneath his carefully constructed walls. The house staff moved with practiced efficiency, adjusting temperature controls and dimming smart lighting. Marcus's assistant coordinated with the security team, while his housekeeper prepared traditional remedies. But it was Tyler Rodriguez who lingered after everyone else departed. The young man who'd worked quietly in Marcus's shadow for only 3 weeks. Tyler moved like someone who understood invisibility. At 27, he carried himself with the careful grace of someone who'd learned early that being noticed wasn't always safe. His dark eyes held stories Marcus had never thought to ask about, and his hands worked with a gentleness that spoke of deeper understanding. Tyler had cleaned Marcus's home with meticulous care, never asking questions, never making small talk, simply existing in the space between necessity and compassion. Now Tyler stood at the bedroom doorway, holding a bowl of warm water and clean cloths. His breathing was shallow, almost trembling, as if crossing the threshold required courage Marcus couldn't comprehend. Sometimes the most important conversations happen when we think no one is listening. Subscribe to Heart Stories. Tyler closed the bedroom door gently behind him, the soft click echoing in the silence. He moved toward Marcus's bed with the careful steps of someone carrying something fragile. His hands trembled slightly as he set the bowl of warm water on the nightstand, the ceramic making barely a whisper against the polished wood. Marcus lay motionless on the Egyptian cotton sheets, his face peaceful but drawn with exhaustion. Tyler's breath caught in his throat as he studied those familiar features, features that had haunted his dreams for years. He pulled the chair closer to the bed and sat down, his knees nearly touching the mattress. For a moment to Yaban, Tyler simply watched Marcus breathe, the rise and fall of his chest steady but somehow vulnerable. The powerful billionaire who commanded boardrooms and dominated headlines looked smaller here, human in a way Tyler had never seen before. The walls Marcus had built around himself seemed paper-thin in sleep, and Tyler felt his own carefully constructed barriers beginning to crack. Tyler reached out and took Marcus's hand in both of his own. The skin was warm, soft from expensive lotions and manicures, so different from Tyler's calloused palms. He'd touched this hand briefly when helping Marcus from his car or handing him documents, but never like this, never with such intimacy, such desperate need to connect across the chasm of class and circumstance that separated them. His voice came out as a whisper, raw with emotion he had suppressed for weeks. "Mr. Thompson, please don't leave this world yet. I still need to tell you something." Tyler's eyes filled with tears he'd been holding back since the moment he'd first walked into Marcus's mansion. He'd practiced these words countless times in his tiny Mission District apartment, but sitting here with Marcus, so still and silent, they felt entirely inadequate. Tyler wiped his eyes with his free hand and continued, his voice stronger now. "I know you think none of us care about you, but that's not true, at least not for me." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with years of unspoken truth. Tyler had watched Marcus from the shadows, seen the loneliness that clung to him like expensive cologne. He'd witnessed the way Marcus's eyes would dim when his assistant announced another canceled dinner, another friend too busy to visit. Marcus's face remained impassive, but Tyler thought he detected the slightest flutter of his eyelids. The young man leaned closer, his voice dropping to barely above a breath. "I've been hiding something for years. Something about your past, and I'm so sorry I didn't have the courage to tell you earlier." Tyler's heart pounded against his ribs as he spoke the words he'd rehearsed but never believed he'd have the chance to say. "You don't remember me, sir, but I remember you." Tyler's voice cracked as memories flooded back, as vivid and painful as the day they'd happened. "You saved my life once when you were still young and not a millionaire. When you were just a kind stranger, helping a terrified kid on the streets of the Castro district. I never forgot your face. Never forgot what you did for me that night when I thought the world was ending." The tears came freely now, dropping onto the back of Marcus's hand. Tyler made no attempt to stop them. For 16 years, he'd carried this memory like a sacred flame, protecting it through foster homes and group shelters, through minimum wage jobs and night school classes. It had sustained him through the darkest moments. The knowledge that somewhere in the world was a young man with kind eyes who'd risked everything to save a stranger. "I was 15. Tyler continued, his voice steadying as he told the story he'd never shared with anyone. "It was late, maybe 2 in the morning. I'd been thrown out of another foster home for being gay. I was sleeping in the doorway of that vintage record shop on Castro Street when these guys found me. They weren't just looking to rob someone. They wanted to hurt me, to make me pay for existing in their world." Tyler closed his eyes, remembering the terror, the certainty that he was going to die in that alley. But then you appeared. You couldn't have been more than 19, maybe 20. You were coming home from somewhere, probably a club or party. You saw what was happening, and you didn't hesitate. You didn't call for help or try to find a cop. You just stepped in, put yourself between me and them. The memory was so clear Tyler could almost smell the night air, could almost hear the distant music from the bars and the sound of Marcus's voice. Young and fierce as he confronted 3 grown men who outweighed him by 50 pounds each. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is show up for someone who has no reason to expect our help. That night taught Tyler that heroes don't always wear capes or have superpowers. Sometimes they're just young men who choose courage over safety, love over indifference. Tyler's voice grew heavier as he prepared to share the most difficult part of his story. His grip on Marcus's hand tightened, seeking strength from the connection. "And there's something else. he whispered, his words carrying the weight of years of guilt and grief. Something about your mother. You lost her so young, but you never knew what really happened that day. I do. Marcus's breathing seemed to change almost imperceptibly, as if some part of his unconscious mind recognized the gravity of what was coming. Tyler's eyes filled with fresh tears as he spoke the words he'd rehearsed countless times, but never imagined saying. Your mother didn't die in an accident. Mr. Thompson, she died saving me. The silence in the room felt profound, as if the very air was holding its breath. Tyler could hear the distant sounds of San Francisco traffic through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the cable cars climbing Nob Hill. But inside this bedroom, time seemed suspended. He took a shaking breath and continued. We were in the same place that night, the same dangerous situation. I was trapped in that alley off Castro Street, and those men weren't just planning to rob me. They wanted to hurt me because of who I was, because they saw my clothes, my backpack with the rainbow pin, and decided I deserved their hatred. Your mother was walking home from her book club at the Castro Theater. She must have heard the commotion. Tyler closed his eyes, remembering Sarah Thompson as she'd appeared that night, a woman in her early 40s, wearing a simple blue dress and carrying a worn leather purse. She'd looked like someone's mother, which of course she was. She'd looked like someone who belonged in Pacific Heights boardrooms, not Castro District alleyways. But when she saw what was happening, when she saw those three men surrounding Tyler, she didn't hesitate any more than her son would years later. She saw me being dragged away, Tyler continued, his voice breaking with the memory. She tried to protect me. She fought them off even though she was terrified, even though she knew she was outnumbered. She pushed me out of danger first, told me to run, to get help. But when I looked back, she was falling. They had knocked her down, and her head hit the concrete. The sound it made. Tyler paused, unable to continue for a moment. I didn't know she was your mother back then, Tyler whispered. Not until years later when I saw her picture in the newspaper archives. I was researching you, trying to figure out how to find the young man who had tried to save me. That's when I discovered who you were, who you'd become. And that's when I realized the woman who died protecting me was Sarah Thompson, your mother. The guilt nearly destroyed me. Tyler's tears fell freely now. 16 years of suppressed grief finally finding release. I wanted to tell you when I first recognized you, but how do you walk up to a powerful billionaire and say, I knew your mother. She died saving me. I was scared you'd hate me, scared you'd blame me for her death. I blamed myself enough for both of us. Every success in my life, every moment of happiness, felt like something I'd stolen from you. Marcus's face remained peaceful, but Tyler thought he saw something subtle shift in his expression, a tightness around his eyes that hadn't been there before. The young man leaned closer, his voice dropping to barely a whisper. She was a hero that night. Mr. Thompson, your mother was braver than any of us had a right to expect. She saw someone in trouble, someone the world had written off, and she chose to act. She chose love over fear, sacrifice over safety. I've spent years trying to understand why she made that choice. Tyler continued, why she risked everything for a stranger, a kid she'd never met. But I think I finally understand. She raised a son who would make the same choice, who would step into danger to protect someone else. Courage like that doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's taught, passed down, inherited through example and love. Your mother died being exactly who she raised you to be. And every day since then, I've tried to live a life worthy of her sacrifice, worthy of the second chance she gave me. But it never felt like enough until I found you again, until I could finally tell you the truth about that night and about the woman who saved us both in different ways. Tyler squeezed Marcus's hand gently, hoping somehow the pressure would convey what his words couldn't fully express. She didn't die for nothing. Mr. Thompson, she died to save someone who would spend the rest of his life trying to honor her memory, trying to be worthy of the gift she gave me. And maybe, just maybe, she died so I could be here now, so I could take care of her son when he needed someone most. Sometimes love works in ways we can't understand, connecting lives across time and tragedy in patterns too beautiful and complex for our minds to fully grasp. Tyler wiped his eyes with his free hand, gathering strength to continue his story. He'd come this far. Marcus deserved to hear everything. After your mother died that night, everything changed for me. I was placed in emergency foster care, then moved from home to home for the next 3 years. Some families were kind, others, Tyler paused, not so much. Being a gay teenager in the system isn't easy, especially when you're carrying trauma from witnessing someone die trying to save you. I aged out at 18 with nothing but a backpack and the memory of 2 people who'd risked everything for a stranger. Tyler's voice grew steadier as he spoke, as if telling this story was finally releasing a weight he'd carried for too long. I worked 3 jobs to put myself through community college, then transferred to San Francisco State. Every scholarship application, every essay about overcoming adversity mentioned the night that changed my life. But I never mentioned your mother's name. I never told anyone exactly what happened because I was protecting her memory, protecting you. I knew from newspaper articles that you'd gone on to build something incredible, that you'd become successful beyond anything your teenage self could have imagined. The last thing I wanted was to bring painful memories back into your life with my presence. Tyler's eyes found Marcus's face again, searching for any sign that his words were reaching him. I spent 5 years looking for you after I graduated, not to ask for anything, just to thank you, to tell you that your kindness had changed the trajectory of my entire life. But you'd already become this untouchable figure in Silicon Valley. Marcus Thompson, the tech visionary. Marcus Thompson, the billionaire philanthropist. How do you approach someone like that with a story from a dark alley 16 years ago? I tried writing letters to your company, but they never made it past your assistants. I tried attending public events where you were speaking, but security kept everyone at a distance. You lived in a different world by then, surrounded by people whose job it was to keep the past away from your carefully managed present. I almost gave up hope of ever finding the courage to approach you. Then 6 months ago, I saw an online job posting for household staff at a Pacific Heights address. Something about the listing felt familiar, so I looked up the property records. When I saw your name, my heart nearly stopped. This was my chance, maybe the only one I'd ever get. So I applied. Tyler's voice grew softer, more vulnerable. I lied on my application, said I had more experience than I did. I taught myself everything about high-end housekeeping from YouTube videos and library books. When I walked into your home for the interview, I saw you for the first time in 16 years. You'd grown into your features, become distinguished, successful, everything a mother would want for her son. But your eyes still held that same kindness I remembered from that night. Older now, more guarded, but still fundamentally good. I wanted to tell you then, but you looked so tired, so surrounded by walls you'd built to protect yourself. So I took the bomb and waited. I watched you work 18-hour days, survive on coffee and determination. I saw you alone in this massive house, eating dinner by yourself while conducting video calls with investors in Tokyo or London. I witnessed your loneliness, the way you'd pause sometimes and stare out at the bay as if searching for something you'd lost. It broke my heart because I knew what you were looking for: connection, family, the kind of unconditional love your mother gave you before the world taught you to be afraid of trusting people. Tyler's voice trembled as he reached the heart of his confession. Every day I cleaned your home. I was also looking for ways to take care of you the way your mother would have wanted. Fresh flowers for your office because I noticed how the old ones made you sad. Your favorite coffee beans ordered before you ran out. Small gestures that might remind you, even unconsciously, that someone was thinking about your well-being without expecting anything in return. I never wanted money or favors or recognition. I just wanted to repay a debt I could never fully settle. Your mother gave me life, literally and figuratively. She saved me from those men, but more than that, she showed me what courage looks like, what sacrifice means, how love can exist between strangers, How we're all connected in ways we rarely understand until something forces us to see the threads. Working in your home these past weeks has been both a privilege and a penance. Getting to see the man you became, the empire you built, the good you do through your philanthropy. It made your mother's sacrifice feel meaningful. But watching your isolation, seeing how success has trapped you behind walls of wealth and suspicion, has been heartbreaking. You deserve so much more than loneliness. Mr. Thompson, you deserve the kind of love your mother believed in, the kind she died defending. Sometimes the people we're meant to find come into our lives disguised as coincidence, as employees, as strangers who turn out to be anything but strange. Tyler's voice broke as he reached the end of his confession. Please don't leave us. Mr. Thompson, don't leave me with this guilt forever. You deserve to know the truth about that night, about your mother's courage, about the love that brought us back together. And I just wish you knew how much your kindness changed my life. How it taught me that heroes are real and sometimes they look like ordinary people making extraordinary choices. Tyler gently placed his hand on Marcus's cheek, his voice barely a whisper now. I've been searching for ways to repay you for 16 years. Maybe taking care of you now. Being here when you need someone. Maybe that's what your mother would have wanted. Maybe that's why fate brought me back into your life. He closed his eyes, tears streaming down his face. I'm so sorry it took me this long to find the courage to tell you. Marcus couldn't take it anymore. The weight of Tyler's words, the truth about his mother, the realization that this young man had been carrying such a burden for so many years. It all crashed over him like a tsunami. His carefully maintained facade cracked completely. His eyes snapped open, and his voice came out as a raspy whisper. Tyler. Tyler gasped, his body jolting backward as if he'd been struck by lightning. The cloth fell from his trembling hands as he stared at Marcus in shock. Mr. Thompson, I didn't know you were... Marcus cut him off by weakly reaching out and grasping Tyler's wrist. His touch was gentle but firm, anchoring them both in this moment of raw truth. Thank you for telling me, Marcus said, his voice thick with emotion. Thank you for carrying this alone for so long. Tears streamed down both their faces as 16 years of separation and misunderstanding finally dissolved. Tyler tried to pull away, overwhelmed by shame and fear, but Marcus held on. No, don't leave. Please. I'm so sorry, Tyler whispered, his voice breaking. I should have told you sooner. I should have found a way to... Marcus shook his head, stopping Tyler's self-recrimination. You have nothing to apologize for. Nothing. If anyone should be sorry, it's me for not seeing what was right in front of me, for being so closed off that you felt you had to hide this. Tyler knelt beside the bed, completely overwhelmed. Your mother, she didn't deserve to die because of me. She didn't deserve to. Marcus struggled to sit up, his hand moving from Tyler's wrist to his shoulder. My mother died exactly how she lived, protecting someone who needed help. She died being the woman who raised me to believe that love is stronger than fear, that we're all connected, that kindness matters more than safety. Marcus's eyes were bright with tears, but also with something Tyler had never seen before: peace. For years, I've carried guilt about not being there that night, about not being able to save her. I've blamed myself for every choice that led to her being in that alley. But you've just given me the greatest gift anyone could give. You've shown me that her death had meaning, that she saved someone who mattered, someone who would go on to honor her memory. Tyler sobbed quietly as Marcus continued, his voice growing stronger with each word. You've carried my grief for me all these years, haven't you? Carrying the weight of her sacrifice, trying to live a life worthy of what she gave you. That's not your burden to bear alone anymore. We'll carry it together now. Marcus pulled Tyler into a gentle embrace, the billionaire and the young man who'd been connected by tragedy finally finding their way back to each other. Thank you for staying, Marcus whispered. Thank you for taking care of me when I was too proud to ask for help. Thank you for seeing past the walls I built and remembering the person I used to be. In that quiet bedroom overlooking San Francisco Bay, two wounded souls began to heal. Marcus finally understood that his mother's love lived on through Tyler's devotion, and Tyler finally felt worthy of the sacrifice that had saved his life. As they held each other, both men realized that family isn't always defined by blood. Sometimes it's created by shared trauma, by love that transcends death, by the courage to trust again after everything has been broken. "Tyler," Marcus said softly, "I have a request. Will you stay not as my employee, but as," he paused, searching for the right words, "as family, as the son my mother saved, as the brother I never knew I needed." Tyler nodded through his tears, finally understanding that some stories don't end with goodbye. Sometimes they begin with the courage to speak truth in the darkness, to trust love over fear, to believe that healing is possible even when everything seems lost. Have you ever had to choose between protecting someone's peace and sharing a truth that could set you both free? The bonds that matter most are often forged in moments of complete vulnerability, when love becomes stronger than the walls we build around our hearts. Subscribe to Heart Stories for more transformative tales of unexpected family, second chances, and the healing power of truth. Your story matters, and we're here to help you tell it.